Since taking office, this administration has solved for more than $1 billion in deficits. In 2011, we solved a budget gap of $487 million, half $1 billion. In 2012, it was $315 million. And last year, it was $268 million. Every year, the gap has gotten smaller. We've cut expenses and lowered the cost of government. We've invested in technology and increased the efficiency of our operations. And we've implemented modest, targeted revenue increases to help strengthen the county's vital public services. Over the last 3 years, every successive budget gap has been smaller. In the fiscal year 2013, we're projecting a budget deficit of just $152 million, just $152 million. As the gap continues to get smaller, it becomes increasingly more difficult to reduce expenses. We did a lot of the easy things in the first couple years. However, I'm committed to making the tough decisions necessary to balance the budget without raising property or sales taxes. I'm going to say that again. Without raising property or sales taxes. As I've said many times, three-fourths of the county's budget of nearly $3 billion is represented by public health and public safety. About 35% of our budget is public health, and about 40% plus or minus is public safety. These areas remain top priorities in my administration. The county is anticipating roughly $74 million more in Medicaid reimbursements next year through the Affordable Care Act. Last year, Dr. Raju and I sought and won approval of an 1115 waiver. We were able to begin enrolling patients at the healthcare system before healthcare reform officially goes into effect in January of 2014. We've made great progress in this effort. The county has initiated roughly 70,000 applications and sent them to the state for approval. We're working closely with the state to ensure that our applications are processed promptly. On the public safety front, we will continue to push for criminal justice reform to address the exorbitant costs of pretrial detention in Cook County. As part of this effort, we will work to mitigate the effects of a recent change in state law that will allow 17-year-olds to be tried as juveniles. Let me say at the beginning that this is a reform I strongly supported. While this was the right policy to adopt, it comes at a high price. It costs more than $600 a day to keep someone in the Juvenile Temporary Detention Center and only $143 a day to keep someone in the jail. We expect the Raise the Age law to add $12 million in expenses to our budget. The law was intended to prevent young men and young women from being tried as adults and sent to the county jail. It also means that the juvenile justice advocates, civic institutions, and elected officials need to work together to find alternatives to detention for our young people. This issue will be especially critical as summer approaches. Our preliminary budget estimates also show an $18 million year-end shortfall for the fiscal year 2013. To address this and to take steps to address the deficit next year, I am directing offices under the President to identify and eliminate 20% of the vacant positions. I strongly urge other elected officials to follow suit. Our budget office is prepared to work with them on this. And I want to thank Treasurer Maria Pappas, who's already made a commitment to do it. The next step in this process is to gather feedback from anyone and everyone who wants to be part of the solution. I'm calling on the county board members, separately elected officials, civic groups, labor unions, residents, and other interested parties to give our office feedback as we craft our budget. We will have a public hearing, a public hearing on our preliminary budget on July 11th, and at that hearing we will also take questions from those who submit them to our website and Twitter. Residents can use the hashtag #TellToni to have their questions answered by me and by my administration. Before and after the hearing, I want to hear ideas from everyone involved in this process. Thank you.